Hello everybody and welcome back to Heartbaked. We are now on Radley's route, the second episode of it, and we are working our way up very slowly but surely, hopefully. I say hopefully because we all know that at some point I'm going to fail miserably. I don't want to though. Radley's cute though. I'm still not sure how well I'll be able to keep on his voice, his terrible accent that I gave him. I'm sorry, Radley. I'm sorry that I'm so bad at this. Love you though. Okay, so let's just jump right in. I paced around my bedroom and huffed. This wasn't how I planned to start my day, but it was absolutely necessary. Yesterday went horribly, and I seriously needed to reconsider my technique. Or maybe I should actually come up with a technique. Okay, Tiger, you're going to go down there, and you're going to tell him that he's going on a date with you tonight. I pep-talked myself. The hardest part would be making sure he doesn't interrupt me. I looked into my mirror and nodded to myself. Nothing was going to get in my way today. This was happening. It was 100% happening. One peek out my window told me that I was running later than usual. If I didn't hurry, then I wouldn't have time to even look at Radley, never mind making plans with him. I rushed down the stairs, hoping to get the day started as fast as I could, but as soon as I was at the bottom of my stairs, I could hear yelling. I stepped into the shop and was greeted with a very short, very angry old lady. She was tapping her foot impatiently and glaring forks and knives at poor Radley, yelling at him for pastries knows what. Radley didn't seem too bothered, though. He continued sweeping the front of the shop as if she wasn't there. I could only assume she had already been yelling at him for some time.
Do you know how long I have been waiting here? Are you trying to make me wait until I wither away to crumbs?
She turned her attention to me. Her voice was one that sounded very much like a man trying to impersonate a woman. I was half tempted to ask her to leave for shouting at me in my own bakery, but still, even if she has been a complete jerk, she's a customer. I'm sorry, ma'am, though we aren't open yet, so...
A business is always open to their customers. How dare you? The customer is always right, you know. I demand free food for this poor service.
Her hands were placed firmly on her hips. Free food? What does she think this is, a charity? I glared at her and pursed my lips. Oh, sure, I'll get right on that. We are closed. Leave. Please come back later. Oh, man. Ooh. Okay, so we probably don't have any baked goods ready even, so let's just ask her to come back later. As much as I wanted to give her a piece of my mind, I decided it was best not to upset another customer. I'm so sorry that you've been waiting here, ma'am, but right now we're closed and we don't have any food ready. She let out a low growl, and looks could kill. If you come back later, I'm sure we can work out some sort of one-time discount, though I couldn't give you anything for free. We do have to make a living, you know. I laughed, but it came out sounding awkward. Man, this old lady is kind of intimidating.
Fine, then. I will return later to get my free food.
She turned dramatically and threw the door open as she marched out with her head held high. Who does she think she is? The queen of pastries? Radley stopped sweeping and looked up at me.
Why would you give a woman like that a discount?
He looked at the door and then back at me, sounding confused, though his voice quickly switched to his usual annoying whine. She's been in here yelling at me all morning.
Well then, be happy she's gone.
He pouted at my words. I wasn't about to scare off another customer. I don't know what you want me to say, Rads. We need money. To get money, we need customers. We can't keep scaring them off. He finally stopped pouting and looked down to finish his sweeping. The silent treatment. Really? Was he upset? I looked outside and realized there was no time to worry about that. I wasted so much time on that woman, and if I didn't get to baking now, then I wouldn't be able to open for the day. I spent the next few hours in the kitchen preparing delicious cakes and breads for the customers who weren't complete jerks. Apparently, the mayor finally made the announcement to the rest of the town that I would be the celebrated baker for this festival, which meant that unfortunately the rest of my day was packed with big orders and a shop filled to the brim with customers. As soon as the flow of customers died down for me, I ducked back into the kitchen where Radley had been tidying up whatever mess I made during the day. Hey.
Hey, Ty. Busy day today.
He laughed it off with his usual energy. Good to see you aren't exhausted. Can you watch the front so that I can prepare some cupcakes? I gave him a sweet smile and he faltered for a second.
Sure thing, Ty.
I watched him bounce out of the kitchen with so much energy I had to wonder if he was just sitting around doing nothing back there. Here, I sighed. He probably was. I grabbed one of the big bins of flour and rolled it over to a counter. 2 dozen undecorated cupcakes were just waiting for me to dress them up and turn them into the most beautiful little things the world had ever seen.
I've never known.
I sat on the bin as I decorated each cupcake one by one, putting as much time, care, and love into each cupcake as I could manage. As I was finishing up, I heard voices coming from the front of the store, and I jumped off of the bin with more energy than I had before. I placed each cupcake gently on a tray and walked out to the front to greet the customers. Hello, welcome to... My greeting was cut short as I tripped over a small box that definitely was not supposed to be there. The cupcakes went flying and landed with soft thuds, spreading across the bakery floor and landing at the feet of 2 customers. I heard a few gasps as my heart broke. My beautiful creations were now ruined, never to be appreciated. I'm sorry about that. I forced myself to smile and apologized as quickly as I could. Don't worry about it. Yeah, are you okay? The 2 customers seemed to be more concerned with me, which was a relief, but also more embarrassing. I'm just fine, thank you. I cleared my throat and smiled as cheerfully as I could. He can help you over there at the counter. Thank you for coming to Tiger's Pastries. They smiled at each other and walked over to speak to Radley while I busied myself with cleaning up the ruined cakes. I kneeled on the ground and started picking them up one by one when suddenly I heard a sneeze. Oh no. Radley screamed out of pure horror and disgust, and I looked up just in time to see him rush into the kitchen, whimpering like he was about to cry. The 3 of us stared after him, and within a few seconds there was a loud bang followed by an ow. I am so sorry about this. I jumped up. The customers looked horrified, and one of them was covering their mouth. I didn't sneeze on him, did I?
No, I don't think so.
They looked over at me and smiled. I'm sure you have things to check on. We'll just leave. The one customer grabbed her bag of baked goods and dragged the other one out. I was almost too afraid to look in the kitchen. Radley? I crept towards the door and slowly opened it, afraid of what I would see. Radley was sitting in a pile of spilled flour. The bin had been knocked down, and the flour had spread everywhere. He jumped up and started trying to brush himself off, with, of course, no results. He almost seemed ready to run out of the shop completely. Then he turned to me. I felt my heart sink in my chest. Today had been exhausting all on its own. But with the ruined cupcakes and now this...
Ty, I'm sorry. This isn't usually here. I'll clean this up. I promise I didn't mean to make a mess.
He panicked and started rambling. No, it's fine. You can go home. I'll deal with this. I sighed, bringing a hand up to my now throbbing head. Let's just see how today can get worse. He started my face, and it didn't take him long before he walked towards me and gently put a floured hand on my shoulder.
Ty, you need a break. Don't worry about it. I can clean this up.
He gave me a smile that I was sure was meant to cheer me up. It didn't.
Tiger.
Both of his hands were now on either shoulder, and he stared, shaking me back and forth while whining. What? I glared at him, and he immediately perked up. He took his hat off his head and dropped it on top of mine, sending a cloud of flour into the air and covering my hair with the powder. Radley? I grabbed his hat from him and hit him over the head with it. Are you trying to make a bigger mess? He only answered with a laugh and a few excited hops.
I'll clean this up, Tiger.
Before I could stop him, he was already energetically rushing around the kitchen, cleaning completely random spots on the counters and sweeping small parts of the floor before moving on to the next area. Fine. If he wanted to clean this so bad, he can, though I should probably thank him tomorrow. I closed the shop for the day and trudged up the stairs to my room. I felt like I was forgetting something. The cake! Ugh! I was too tired to go back down the stairs to attempt and fail at flirting with Radley now. Tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. Well, there we go. Oh no! I told you guys I'd fail miserably. And we know what that means. I'm going to go through the whole thing. And we're going to get to the point where I'm at that cake there. And it's going to be a failure. And my heart's going to be broken. Radley's going to leave me even though he loved me. And I'm going to be sad. So sad. Well, I guess we'll have to leave it here, though, and continue onwards with our failures as they are, just like we've done so far. You guys know the drill. Have a great weekend, have a good week, and good night.